Howdy. Welcome to the Chris Patrick channel. Today we're diving into a unique, transformative journey as we sit down with the owner of the Zen Cowboy Experience, Falk Hentschel Henley. This isn't just your ordinary business, it's a haven for those seeking adventure, mindfulness, and the spirit of the Old West all rolled into one. From horseback rides that connect you to nature to meditative practices that center your soul, the Zen Cowboy Experience offers something truly special. In this interview, we'll explore the story behind this one-of-a-kind experience, discover the inspiration for its creation, and learn how its owner blends the ruggedness of cowboy life with the serenity of Zen philosophy. So saddle up, take a deep breath, and join us as we get to the heart of the Zen Cowboy Experience. Giddy up.
This is the claustrophobia of modern day life. I want to take you away. Far away from all the noise and distractions. Somewhere peaceful yet primal, where you feel nurtured, connected, safe, to find out who you really are. Reignite your fire, refresh your soul, and dare yourself to have an adventure.
Okay, we're live.
We're live.
Okay, welcome to the Chris Patrick channel. I have a special treat for everybody. This is my first uh, interview with a high caliber individual who I consider a friend and someone who has something for you. Perhaps you're the right person for an escape into the wild, not only for your soul, but for your mind and body, and just overall experience to nurture you into during these times of, can be quite a wild ride through the stresses of life. And
Oh
he
yeah.
will share his experience and what he has to offer. And if you mention my name and you end up going on one of his trips, you get an extra scoop of beans on the plate and maybe a shot of whiskey with the infamous Falk. So without further ado, let me introduce Falk Hentschel Henley, a little bit of his background. He was born in Germany, and we'll get to how he came from Germany and went to the United States. But he has a background in the Hollywood industry before he endeavored on this Zen Cowboy uh, out uh,
Experience.
experience. Thank you. So Henschel worked in London as a professional backup dancer for artists such as Mariah Carey and Britney Spears, uh, Paulina Rubio and Jamelia, and others. Later, he was hired as a choreographer and worked on many music videos and tours in Canada and Asia. In 2003, Falk decided to stay in Los Angeles for good and pursue his dream of becoming an actor. He made his acting debut in the Emmy Award winning show Arrested Development in 2005. Small parts in Journeyman and numerous low budget films followed. In 2008, Henschel decided to create his own projects and wrote the short film Who is Bobby Domino, where he met his production partner, Jesse Grace. The two of them went on to write and produce more short films, of which many entered some of the most prestigious film festivals in the world and won numerous accolades. In 2009, Falk landed his first big budget feature film role as Bernard The Assassin, co-starring next to Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz in Night and Day. The following year, Falk played the role of drug addict Richard Conway on TNT's The Closer, starring Kyra Sedgwick. In 2011, Hentschel played opposite singer Justin Bieber in the CSI crime scene investigation episode Targets of Obsession, and he also starred in the NCIS Los Angeles episode Archangel in August 2015. It was announced that Henschel will portray the, the Carter Hall version of Hawkman in 2016, show DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and also Arrow and The Flash. Apparently, this needs to be updated because we are now in 2024. Is there
Blast from the
anything that
past. Yeah,
I'm missing?
I'm listening to it. I'm like, man, that is a blast from the past. Yeah. Then followed after that followed a movie called Transcendence with Johnny Depp about the singularity, which was actually really interesting. Uploading your consciousness into the internet and becoming one with everything. And then a movie called White House Down, Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx, among others. Then I did a TV show called Spies, and then my last big Hollywood film was Welcome to Marwen, directed by Robert Zemeckis, who did Forrest Gump, Back to the Future, Castaway, and all those lovely movies. Who was my childhood hero and who I always wanted to work with, so that was kind of a highlight for me. Yeah, and then COVID hit and just went and everything crashed, and it's been just weird times in the show business. I think it's still happening, the I don't know if you want to call it downfall or dismantling or restructuring or rebirth. I think it's a rebirth. But yeah, you literally have all my credits now there.
All right, all right. So you look nice and cozy. You've got this nice
We got snow
sweater.
today.
You got snow today.
Yeah, and I
Clearly,
run a
man.
little cooler, so I like to be warm. I'll probably take it off in a minute, but right now I'm nice and warm.
Now, clearly, everyone's wondering this guy's not in Hollywood anymore, unless
Yeah.
because
I
snow
go
is
in
not
and out,
happening.
but no, snow's not happening in Hollywood. Although I heard well, I don't know if California or Southern California has it, but there's a big storm coming through right now, big um, rainstorm. But no, we got snow right here.
So, where are you now so that we can help identify with you because you're not in Hollywood
I'm in
anymore?
Oregon. I'm in the wilderness in eastern Oregon, the Wallowa Wilderness in a little valley called Wallowa County. And we're in Enterprise, which is like the biggest town in it. And it's got like 2,800 people. So that gives you an
Okay.
idea of how remote we are.
Okay. And so, before we get to that, can you tell us a little bit about how you came? You were born in Europe, in Germany, and
Hmm.
can you give us a little bit of what led you to Los Angeles, a little backstory?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was born in the East, so I was born on the other side of the Iron Curtain. Which is funny because now I ended up in the Wild West. So I was from the East, Far East, Communist East. And then we got out of there right before the wall fell. My parents fought hard for that and finally got on a train with us and got us out of there. And then I was in West Germany till I was about 18. I started traveling with my art since I was like 14, 15. A lot of those trips were to the States, and I fell in love with the States. And when I was 18, I decided let's go to London first, the UK, because it's an hour and a half flight, but it's a big city. And like at 18, I was like, I don't want to go over the pond yet. And the whole visa situation seemed really like unsolvable in my mind. So I started with that. I was a dancer there. I was dancing. That was sort of my way into the acting. I kind of tried to follow in the footsteps of like a Patrick Swayze, John Travolta. They all danced, and I was like, maybe that's my route, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And then I was on tour on Justin Timberlake's very first solo tour. We were backup dancing for an artist called Jamelia, a local artist in the UK. And I got to know some people there, and they all were very encouraging about, come out to LA. And I did, at 21, I flew to LA, didn't have, a green card, didn't have nothing but my little savings and a suitcase. And yeah, landed there and then stayed there for almost 14 years.
Wow.
and pursued, full-time acting. Yeah, and
And
then
what would it, before we move on, what would you say was like your pinnacle? What was like your most treasured experience or time moment in Hollywood?
I mean, I love being on set. Like with maybe one exception, and even on that one, I had a good time on set. There was just a lot of trials that we don't even need to mention here, but I love it. It's such a gift to get to do a film, especially the ones I've done where you have 150 million or more budget, and it's just everything is there. You got the biggest toys to play with, like anything is possible, and you get to just play like a kid. So it's hard for me to like single out which one was the best. Like I said, the Welcome to Marwen project is just so cool to work with the guy who made one of the films that made me want to be an actor in the first place. Like Forrest Gump was like one of those movies where I was like, that movie made me feel very strongly. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me worry, it made me grieve. And so that was just a great moment to kind of like fulfill a dream like that. And then also putting on, a tailor-made leather superhero costume with a cool helmet, and getting to fly 30 feet up, well, more actually, 60 feet up in the sky on a crane that, you're hooked in with the harness. That was pretty cool, and then getting to see that and the big poster on the strip, and, having your image as the superhero like blown up. It was a really neat experience. But till today, I always say from action to cut, I just love my job. I love when I get to express my art.
You did it. You did it.
I did it,
You
yeah.
went to Hollywood with your dream
Went
in a
to Hollywood with my
suitcase
dreams.
and you made
I
it
still got
happen.
some to fulfill, but
Yes.
it's a work in progress.
Now we moved to Oregon. Well, how'd you get there? Like you were in Hollywood and now
Well,
you're
yeah, this happened when I realized that just Hollywood wasn't central anymore. Like it wasn't Hollywood was becoming it had nothing much to do with the actual place anymore. It was just a community of filmmakers, and most things didn't shoot in LA anymore. And people were starting to ask for self-tapes. And I was in LA at the time, and I realized that they were like, "Hey, can you send us a tape?" And I was like, "Okay." So there's at no point do I have to physically be here, because by the time that you get the job, um, you're probably going to be flown into some other place, whether that's Budapest or London or Germany or Canada, but it's rarely Los Angeles, unless you're in the sitcom business, which I'm not. And so I decided, let's get out of here. I have to say, I was never a huge fan of the place itself, like LA. I love nature. I love seasons. I love um, quiet. I love no light pollution. I like not sitting in traffic. So when finally the era came where you didn't have to be there anymore, I got out. So we went to Oregon because I've always had a fond idea of Oregon. Went to Portland first, and my wife said, "Well, if you want to go into like nature, let's really go into nature. Like Portland is still a city, and why don't we explore?" And we found this smaller place called Bend. It's not so small anymore, but at the time was 90,000 people, nestled in the middle of stunning nature. And that's how we started our like gradual escape from society. We did that for a good, almost 7 years or 6 years, I want to say. And then COVID hit, and that just kind of like shook up my entire world. I panicked a little bit because I knew I wasn't going to work for a while. And I had been pretty good with money, like just saving and not being too spendy with it, but I knew it was going to run out. So instead of buying a house, we decided to buy an RV bus, and we traveled. We were like, let's find the place that we really want to build something in permanently. Um, and let's just see what happens. So just as my son was born, we got into the bus and just kind of lifted anchor and floated around in the ocean of life for a little while there. And then we miraculously ended here in Enterprise. I did my wife for my 40th birthday, which was 2 years ago, gave me a present to come on one of these horse packing trips with Del Sol Wilderness Adventures. And I had the most amazing time. And that's where I came up with the idea. I was like, oh man, if I could be on these horses up in the wilderness and then do some breath work and do some cold plunging with people and just spend some time here to reset and to really just hear your own thoughts, figure out what's going on in your life, just really kind of get some space and time to yourself. That would be a cool trip. And yeah, bless my wife. I told her let's move into the boonies and try to set up this business. It's still acting, I'm still traveling for that and part of it all, but this was a big, big shift. So that happened this year. This year in May, we arrived here in Enterprise.
Wow, that's a journey not only for yourself but for your family to
Yeah.
support and
Yeah, bless her.
flex.
Yeah.
Yes, to support and adjust the sails, right? As
Yeah.
you cut the line from the anchor and
Yeah, I
just
always said she met a movie star who had a black Mercedes, and now she's married to a wannabe cowboy with an F-150 truck.
and that kind of we've spoken a few times about this project, and we both share someone who kind of comes to mind of a Hollywood actor who embodies that image of what you wanted to kind of become, or at least imagine yourself in this golden field with the mountains in the background. And
Yeah, the character, the actor, I don't know enough about if he does this in
fair,
his in
fair enough. Yes.
real life, but yeah, the character of Tristan in Legends of the Fall, yeah,
Yeah.
that was another one. I was 14. I saw it on a date with my first girlfriend, and that landscape, that job, that connection to nature, minus all the drama,
Sure.
it's what I wanted. Although I had some of drama in my life, but yeah, that was a big one. And then Viggo Mortensen has always been one that I've kind of like was like, oh, I think he's doing it right. I always heard that he lives on a farm and he's very connected to horses. He loves horses. And Patrick Swayze, actually, I didn't know this, but he was a dancer, so we had that in common. But then I found out later when I was starting to ride more that he bred and had a lot of Arabian horses. White Arabians were his favorite horse, and I was riding a white Arabian on the day I found out. So, yeah, there's always this funny how like you're in your childhood, these impressions that you get, these people that you see on TV have such an impact.
Yeah, it sounds like you can, as this project comes together and is moving forward, you can see the dots, as you say, like the
Oh
dots,
yeah. Yeah.
the
I look back and I
connections,
go,
right?
holy shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Uh, Now, um, you've kind of gone over like what led you from to the movie industry, what led you from the movie industry to Oregon. Uh, your family has obviously supported you.
Yeah.
You're all in this together. Uh, can you kind of now there's the landing page for your the Zen Cowboy Experience, but like what you went on a trip already before with a horse in the backcountry, which led you to the idea of cold plunging and breath work. There's the
Let me do that
deep,
to combine it. Yeah.
yeah,
I had been on the breathwork journey and also plant medicine and consciousness expansion. And I've just always been aware there's more to it of what we're perceiving in life. There's patterns that, for example, I see in myself that I repeat, that if you practice to be able to step back, you can kind of almost like a computer reprogram yourself. We're
mm,
running on programs, and science has like caught up with it a lot now too, but we're running on these programs that, we're not aware of. And the moment you become aware of them, you can switch them and you put in a new program. So that work I had been heavily involved because I had suffered a lot from depression. I have had a psychotic event when I was 26. So like my emotional state was often very despair, sadness, grief. That's kind of where I lived a lot. And so I took on that journey to just heal myself. And then on this trip, we talk about holding space when we do breath work, like somebody's holding your space and time, which just, it's a very woo-woo way of saying I'm just taking care of this literal space here so that nobody steps in and interrupts you and that you're fine and that you get water when you need it. And I'm taking care of the time so that you can relax. And then I guide you through whatever practices we're doing. And that space in the mountains, looking around, having Eagle Cap on one side, these mountains on both other sides, and the horses, you hear them. It's just an amazing space. And I was like, if we could lay down here and meditate, or do breath work, or just have a conversation around the fire with, a men's group, or whatever, it is. I just felt like it was a powerful environment to offer something like a wellness retreat. And, same with cold plunging. I had done that before quite a bit, but not in a mountain stream, not in an alpine lake where you're not in a gym looking at other people in their underwear, or in their shorts, but you're looking at, you know, an epic display of nature.
Yeah, and most people in my channel know me. I've did 20 years of guiding, and I've did so many cold plunges before cold plunges was like
A
the,
thing. Yeah, before it was a
the
cold
thing.
plunge.
Yeah, I actually did a few where I slid down, which I don't recommend, without just uh, naked down a snow hill mountain patch right into the lake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the that was a lot of fun, and I always felt that if I can have something that could warm me up when I get out, then I'm all for it,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah.
I'm uh, gonna go in and submerge myself, what an awakening and what a feeling of like,
Oh,
yeah, it's
yeah. No, you want to do it and be able to warm up. Like that, we did a trip. Our first trip that we did this year was early September. And it was a little nippier up in the mountains. It was still good. There was sunshine, but you could definitely tell the difference between a day where you had sun or
sure.
where it was a little cloudy. But most of the trips are in the height of the summer, so you know, it's
Yeah.
a very welcome thing.
So can you tell us more about your background? What I mean, you you have a Wrangler, right? How big is your crew that comes with you, and also your background on horses?
So yeah, I we got a head wrangler from Del Sol Wilderness who is responsible for the safety of the clients regarding horses, the wilderness, responsible for the horses themselves. I co-wrangle. I mean that means I help out. I can tell you things about the horses and I can give advice, but that's Del Sol Wilderness that we hire to do this. And then there is a chef, a camp chef, camp cook who also, most of our chefs are horse people. Otherwise, it's just hard to get them up there. And then there's me who is responsible for anything, journey work related, breath work, talking about whatever you want to talk about, the activities that I've designed for the trip. That's all on me. But I love the horses and I love the wrangling part. I came out last year for a month to do an apprenticeship because I was like, well, I have to go up in the mountains and I want to be of help and I want to know what's going on. It's just safer that way. So I did a month of an apprenticeship and then I started working this year just to get more experience and I love it. I tell you, if that job paid better, like, if you could actually live from it and it wasn't so seasonal, I dig it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really fun.
And so naturally, people who are interested in this, the breath work, cold plunging, being immersed, or forest bathing, if you will, in the backcountry, like what would when you say horses, people might have zero background with horses, might fear
Yeah, yeah.
horses, might not be keen on riding horses,
Yeah, yeah.
and for how long, and for backcountry, like in case
Yeah.
something would happen, like
Yeah.
how would you help people, you know
Well,
whether they're the right fit for something like that?
yeah, we always like if you go on our website and you say, you know what, I want to find out if this is the right fit. You just email me or call me directly. I set up a Zoom call like this for half an hour, and we'll talk about whether it's the right fit. And I'll tell you right now, the truth is, if you are drawn to horses, you just have this like passion for it, but you have no idea what you're doing. we will probably say, listen, before you come up here, you need to take at least 6 lessons. And here's what we want you to focus on. Our horses they're incredible. Like I trust them with my life every day. I go up there and I do work that is much more dangerous than what I take clients obviously on doing. And I feel safe with them. However, it's horses, it's wilderness. There is a certain danger. So it requires somebody that is okay to take that responsibility and that risk. And the skill sets needed are very simple. Get your horse to stop, get your horse to move forward, get comfortable in the seat. We don't have galloping wildly through the wilderness on your own. That's just an insurance hazard. Now, however, if you are a horse person and you know what you're doing, we're happy to take you out a little bit and see what you're capable of. But it's all a conversation and it's all safety first. That's a big one for me because I started late in this game. I started riding in when I was young and throughout my whole life, but to really take it serious, I started when I was 40, so I have a lot of fears and things that I don't want to risk. So yeah, just talk to me and I'll let you know whether you're a candidate or not. If you one of the rules are if you can't get on a horse by yourself, we might coach you. We might say, well, listen, here is the task that you have to fulfill, which is part of the program too, is just to get you ready. Like you can't get on a horse, that means you're not healthy. It's a very basic thing to do. Like, do you want to improve that? Could this be an opportunity for you to go, all right, you know what? I want to just practice that. I want to practice my body to be mobile and strong enough to get up and off of a horse. I can afford 6 horse lessons and I can tell my coach there, this is what I need. So it's a case by case situation.
Right, because I know from experience of riding horses that horses know w
Yes.
what you're thinking, and we
Mhm.
could go down that road, but we don't need to. But whether they'll know whether you're scared of them, love them, just neutral, whatever. And so if
Yeah.
you're comfortable around them, that helps a lot. I really love the whole idea of a horse, nature. It's an animal. You're going into the wilderness. You're covering more ground than if you were hiking or walking. You can transport a lot more things versus like an ATV or quad bike or something where you're going to hear loud noises and fuel
Oh, yeah. It's
combustion and
uncomparable. And you
yeah.
can't get to the same places. I mean, these trails that we go up, they're narrow, they're steep, that you dirt bike maybe. And on the part of like, what do you have to be able to do? Just to give you an idea, the last trip I did, I invited my mother. My mother's 70. She has been on a horse 3 times. She's not very comfortable and she has a lot of fears. I told my own mother, and I love you, mom. We said, next time, if this wasn't my mom, I would do it differently. And I would say, take some horse riding lessons. But to be fair, she did the trip. She loved it. It was so beneficial for her. She now is taking lessons. She fell in love with the thing that I think is the best about riding on horses because they keep you present. There is a danger. There is an innate danger or risk that the body feels, so you don't mess around. You're present, you're looking, you're not in your head, you're not thinking about, other things because it's a big animal and it keeps you present. And that's a big part of the experience. You don't have to ride like a amazing cowboy, but just sitting on a horse in nature, it'll keep you in the moment, you won't check your phone, hopefully.
And there's the rhythm of the horse, just the way it
Yes.
kind of moves, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what and I know that they can have this half-hour consultation via Zoom, but wh what type of person can do this? Is this a glamping kind of experience? Is this roughing it? Are you rolling out burlap sacks and you're sleeping
I
under the
try.
rain, or you got a cot, or what
We
kind of
have we have two variables. One, we have a base camp. So there's a tent, and I purchased these cowboy rolls. It's basically a canvas sack with a nice thick pad in it. And the way I look at it is, I wanted it to be really comfortable for the body, yet minimal. So the bedding is actually really, really comfy. You don't feel like you're sleeping on the ground. You have a nice cushion. We tell you to bring a pillow if you want to, and you can zip it up around you. In the summer, it's going to be warm. It's kind of like almost like sleeping outside. If we have the base camp, you can put it inside of the tent. You'll be warm. Is it, a full-on queen mattress with a, heated stove in your tent? No. That there we can offer trips like that through Del Sol Wilderness. They do stuff like this, but that's not what we want to offer. We want to offer comfortable in your body, but roughen it as far as like what kind of equipment you have, the basics. We take care of your food. The food is fantastic. That is completely taken care of. But we ask you to, you know, sleep out under the stars and hear your environment as you fall asleep. Sleep by the creek, or even if it is in a tent, you're in the wilderness and it's just a basic tent. So yeah, no glamping. That's part of the whole program is that you're that
Yeah.
we're stripping you a little bit from all those comforts.
It's the real deal. It it's not only just horses are have been transportation for hundreds of years, thousands of years,
Yeah,
I might safely
yeah,
say. Uh,
yeah,
and so you're kind of like when I led trips and you'd sit around the campfire. Campfires have been around for so long that there
yeah.
are these things that have been carried on, and here we are in the world of internet and life, all these modern day inventions, but the core essence of the stars above you, the fresh air, the horses, the campfire, the food, the camaraderie. Now, what are some of the things that people are experiencing on before they come in? Where are they when they come into it? And what do they experience to where they come out later? Can you share any stories of
Stories, yeah, there's some stories. I mean, I can tell you from my mom, for example. My mom arrived, and this is great. This was our test run. I wanted to just sort of see, like, can we do this? And am I crazy for trying to do what I'm doing? And she taught me a great lesson. It all went fantastic. In her case, she came with high blood pressure. That was one of her issues. And my mom is very spiritual, and she's a doctor, like a general MD, but she's all about like, okay, it's not just blood pressure, it's something about my lifestyle, it's something about my thoughts, it's something about how I perceive things, it's my stress, all that. And well, we took her phone away. We didn't take it away, but there's no service, so there's no more phone. We don't have any alcohol. No cigarettes. She's not a heavy smoker or anything, but she likes to have a cigarette once in a while. And so we just kind of cold turkeyed her and put her in the middle of nowhere where there's no other sounds, that she hasn't had that in over 20 years. That kind of experience. So what happened? Like her blood pressure went up, and so I went in and I did some breathwork coaching and I like walked her through things and taught her there's a big part of what we do, taught her to listen to what her body's saying. High blood pressure is telling you what? I want to lay down. Great, you need to rest. You never rest. You're always going. Right. And so long story short, over the course of that program, she came out with lower blood pressure, overall having come down, her anxiety levels having come down, saying, "Oh my God, I want to ride a horse." Whereas in the beginning of the trip, she was like, "Uh-oh, will I survive this?" And she came down with the biggest smile and, her body feeling better, her mind feeling better, and she changed something substantial in her life. We had people that you know, come up there that have just like had a rough time at work and that have pent up energy and they get to swing an axe to help us chop firewood. And you'll laugh at this, Chris, because you're so used to this, but watching somebody who, for example, has a lot of pent up anger, we taught him how to safely use an axe. I mean, that was therapy right there. And again, I want to make sure that nobody thinks this is just a therapeutic trip. This is also just to get a reset if you just want to get away and to just get a little introspective. But I think regardless, something therapeutic happens to everybody. It's you can't deny it from happening in that environment, because you're stripped from so many things that you're gonna have to deal with yourself.
yeah. I As soon as we met and as soon as you told me about your project, I, I wanted to literally go on, like,
I can't wait to have you up here.
I'm
You
going is what's
good,
happening. I am
good. I
going.
love
There's
it.
declaration
Love
and affirmation because to me, and I know you've given me credit, yeah, I've slept thousands of days under the stars, but and so why did I do that? I know the value of being outside. I know that the air, the fresh air, the silence, the escape or the absence of technology. I found warm socks out of the dryer or off the clothesline was better than whatever 1,000 likes on your photo on Facebook
Oh,
or
it's the best.
I
I'll
mean
give you
it
one example. This
yeah
is not from the trip that we did, but I just did elk season, and for the listeners that don't know any of it, we pack in hunters to for them to go after, elk, and it's 15 degrees at night. It's like 28, 30 during the day. There's snow. You're working all day, heavy loads, you pack mules and do all that, long rides. And when you come back at the end of the day, there's a little bowl with warm water and a little soap in it so that you get the grime off. And when you put your hands in that water, we were just looking at each other, smiling, going, doesn't it feel like the Ritz? Like, doesn't it feel like you're in a five-star hotel right now?
right
So that level of gratitude, that bath that you take when you come back to your house, that first time in your bed, it's just so nice to reconnect to some humility, you know? And also to say, I wasn't suffering out there. I had an amazing time. Like nature provided, nature was incredible. It cleared me and it gave me the gift of gratitude. And this is without any of my program. This is just taking you into
right
nature.
right
So
and of course I want to save some of that because people will naturally have questions about you know in the video that shows you literally someone taking a cold plunge and then obviously breath work uh but you know the experience of being in the wilderness alone is already worth the endeavor.
that's
The
that's what I say. I'm like, you will get something out of it, even if my entire program fails.
right, okay,
That's
and
why I'm so
and
confident about it.
and how if you're not okay, let's say you're okay, you're coming from so people could come from anywhere around the world. They head to this small place, this town, and then they go through the horse. They get set up with a horse. You go through the orientation and all that.
Yeah.
The breath work and the cold plunge. What what why that versus I don't know teaching them how to hunt or live off the land or
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah what drove you
Um,
to those
these are great questions, and I designed this for myself in a way, at first. I just kind of like combined all the tools that kind of really like changed my life around and that were simplest for me. And hunting, for example, I still haven't gone on a big hunt. I've done birds because it's so complicated to get a tag there isn't really like a still a tradition of people teaching each other how to hunt. It's very, this is my hunting territory and I don't want to reveal my spots. So I've had a hard time finding an into that. So hopefully this year I'll get my first elk actually. Um, damage tag in case if anybody's wondering. But look, breath work is the most simple meditation that I know. I don't do well with like sitting in a, straight back position and imagining like the white light clearing me through my thoughts go, I'm a very physical person. And when I was taught tri-step breathing, tri-breath technique, which is a belly inhale, a chest inhale, exhale through the mouth, and keeping that going and having somebody that keeps you going in that, you can lay down. It just worked for me, I know you've tried it and you've had your own experience with it. But once I had a breakthrough with that, I just realized like this is one of the only tools I'll ever use, and I've been using it for 10 years. So that's why I decided to take that because it's so simple and so powerful. The cold plunge, I is another one again, super simple. You can create it wherever you are. You can do it in your bathtub, you can do it in a river, you can do it in a lake, ocean, whichever. And that one is just such a physical manifestation of life and how to deal with life. Sometimes life gets really uncomfortable. And that's the part of life that people need help with, right? Like we don't have any problem loving and laughing and getting money and it's the discomfort. And so and my cold plunge approach isn't let's go in and let's get the physical benefits. It's more like let's go in and see if you can relax so much that you can smile and that you can have conversation and go, I'm okay. Right? Because that's life. You're getting fired, you're losing your money, whatever, and you're freaking out. And it's all about going, controlling your breath and just sort of going, it's all right. I'm surviving. I'm not, there's no bear here. Nobody's pointing a gun at me, God forbid. Um, but yeah, so that's the other tool that's just so simple and such a great metaphor for approaching life. And the other thing that I do is the Zen Hour, and that's just a something I started doing every 24 hours to just reset myself. And that is listening to my body for 20 minutes and just sort of going, what do you need? Okay, I'm tight. I need to stretch. Uh, my neck is messed up. I need to put a ball in there. And I set a timer, 20 minutes, and I just listen. That's the first thing, practicing to listen and understanding the cues that your own body is throwing you, and then doing something about it. When that timer is up, we go into the journaling section, which is the mind, right? The mind and the emotions. 20 minutes and you just go, oh, really sad. I feel icky. I just feel weird today, or super happy. You just kind of get it out and check in with yourself because I think we forget that. We're so bombarded that we don't often even know what we need or what we feel. And then the third section is the meditation section, and in the mountains, I encourage, for example, just barefoot walking, one breath per step, which is very, very difficult. It sounds easy, but one inhale and exhale for one step forward, um, and barefoot. A, it's great for your fascial system, and B, it keeps you present. Meditation, in my opinion, is all just about can you stay right here, right now? And those are sort of the tools that I try to impart on people up on that trip. So it's not so much a come on our trip and heal all your problems or come on our trip and get a reset for life. It's more come on our trip, you definitely get a reset, guaranteed. And we teach you a lot of tools to reset yourself when you need it again. Because you will need it again. Like our trip is not gonna, I mean, I would love it if it just fixes you for life, but you need to tend to yourself, you need to self-care.
You'll have, yeah, once you complete that, you'll have that though in the back of your mind. You'll have that tool, you'll have that experience to pull from
Yes.
when you go back
Yes.
into the real world. Uh, Now obviously in the off season, you can you tell quickly about that? But
Yeah, yeah.
what
I
I'd
mean, the
like to know
dream
is also where do you see this?
going, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
The dream, I mean, I'll tell you my dream life is off season, I do a movie. I finish up the Zen Cowboy Experience. I go to a set on October. I'll shoot till January, February, and then I start all over again. I love my art, I don't want to give it up. But also, the dream is to run these programs from July till end of August or beginning of September. And then eventually, if this does catch on and we have enough interest, because it's a very niche thing that we're offering, I would love to then do the same thing in Costa Rica or in Jamaica. But now instead of the mountains, you have the beach. There's a place in Jamaica. I haven't found who does this yet, but they put people on horses and they ride into this cove where dolphins show up and they know these horses. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. We don't need breath work, just do that. That'll do the trick. Like
yeah.
I want to design these trips and the combination is breathtaking nature and removed horses and people just getting a full reset and some tools that just kind of give them some peace of mind and some centeredness.
Great, great. And yeah, I see a well balanced life. What a what exposure your family gets for all of this too as well. But you're living one foot in Hollywood, which is not reality, right?
Right. Not at all. Yeah.
And then you have the other foot of a lifestyle of you're essentially living a real what
Mm.
Hollywood would spend millions of dollars recreating with sets and
Yeah.
locations
Yeah.
and change ups, and you're literally the star of this up into the mountains, uh,
It's 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 funny
losing.
that you say that. When I got back from this elk season, I took a video and my friend said, "Oh man," I showed it to him and he said, "You're literally walking between the heavens and the earth." And I watched the video myself again and he was right. There was clouds below me and the mountains above me and I was riding right through them and talking about Legend of the Fall, another friend of mine who's an actor, I said, they said action in the morning when I got on my horse. So when I loaded the string and then cut when I got home and I got to do, I got to be this character, which is now just my life. And I have to say it's a bit weird because I just didn't think it would happen that way. I thought I was going to get that movie where I just play something like this. But because it didn't come, I'm like, I got to live this. There was such a strong draw to this salt of the earth, real, real life,
what
And it's
what
a weird split too. You're right. Like it's a weird, these words are so different that it's a bit strange, like, yeah, they couldn't be different. They couldn't be more different.
I love how you're living life on your own terms. You've created these visions that you've had. You've seen the dots connected of what led you to these moments, and uh, you're living proof that you can have the best of both worlds. You can, live in on the terms of picking your scripts and performing in Hollywood, but you can also go into the woods, make a great living, and help a lot of people. I mean, that's a great vision based on
That's the
your
dream, yeah.
your journey that you went through. Uh, is there anything else that you'd like people to know from this, uh, so that maybe they
Yeah,
might
I
get
just
if they're the right person for it?
well, again, I can just like express my dreams. Like my hope for this is what I'm feeling. I feel like this would be a great thing for, a lot of men right now. And I say this because I am one of those men. Like I've been acting the tough guy and I've been acting the manly guy. But through living this life now, I've just noticed how much removed I was from my actual masculinity. My actual, there's something very masculine about facing nature and these beasts and working hard and being fulfilled by that hard work. Not that you have to work hard on our trips, but getting your firewood and pulling a splinter out and all this stuff um, that I feel like is really needed. Um, I would love just all my horse enthusiasts to show up. It'd be lovely to have people that actually really love horses and know what to do with them and get that experience because I've been riding in a barn for a while and it just doesn't, you can't compare it. You can't compare being on a horse out there versus in a barn. Um, and lastly, I just want people to get a beautiful reset. It's the first time I'm so passionate about offering something just because of the benefit that I got from it. I'm like, I know a lot of us are stressed. I know that when I talk to people, when I look at the social media, when I look at the news, everything is doom gloom. Everybody is like high anxiety. We're getting bombarded with dopamine. And just for that, just for the 4 or 5 days of no phone, I mean, when was the last time you did that? Right? I mean, you probably have, but just for that, I would love for people to come, just unplug it, hang out with us, and let us take care of you. We love taking care of you. And yeah, it'd be a dream if we sold out this year.
Yeah, so yes, I have done some trips where I have had no access to my phone, and maybe the first day I'm kind of a eccentric in that department where I don't I could take it or leave my phone. I am an old
Same
soul,
here.
but at the same time, I found that there was the first day of perhaps we'll call it withdrawal, and then it soon fell into the oh, I forgot we even had phones. That's right. Um,
And you forget what's happening to the world, especially right now with all these major shifts. Every time we go in for 5 days, the Wranglers and I look at each other and go, I wonder what we're coming back to, because
yeah,
suddenly you hear nothing.
right,
It's silent and you don't have an opinion, no politics, no wars, everything's gone. And you're just
right.
like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, go to www.thezencowboyexperience.com, Zen with a Z, or right away info at thezencowboyexperience.com, and follow us on at the Zen Cowboy Experience on Instagram. That's where we have a lot of videos up and just my life in the mountains. I post a lot there, or at Falk Hentschel, my name. That's my other Instagram. But yeah, just find us and come up. And I can't wait for you to come up. You'll dig it.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll dig this.
I'm, I re I recalled one time I had to deliver a van when I worked for this outfitter. And I took like this was pre uh, Google Maps or whatever. So I just had a good old Atlas map, where you open up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I looked like a shortcut through the mountains. It was in Colorado. It was probably near Telluride area. And I thought, oh, I'll cut off like a half hour time. That was a that was a wild adventure because it was snowing and the roads were not good. And I snake-tailed up some passes and
No.
it was very risky, but gosh, I felt so wild and free and it was amazing.
And
And
alive, right?
yeah, and when I came around the corner, I had to jerk the brakes because there was a horse crossing, and these
Mm.
horses were packed with backcountry, like cowboys. They had these boxes and canvas
Yeah.
bags, and these cowboys were wearing these, dusters,
Yeah, it's
jacket,
Dusters. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Dusters.
and they had the cowboys, and they're like one guy had a cigarette, and I'm like, "Blah," like, am
You're
I
like,
in
what
a dream?
time? Yeah, did I just move times? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like what the? I'm like, I, in the deepest of my man soul, like wanted that. I wanted to almost ditch my van on the side of the road and
Jump
just
on
like
them.
jump into this convoy into the mountains. And I don't know if they were like, it was like a ghost train of, these cowboys or what, but that's something I've always longed to do. And up until up until now, I didn't know. I guess either I never really dug deep or time's never been right for it.
I
Is
had
it
no
something
idea
that
either. Look, I knew
something
the
you
cowboy
do?
world a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is another thing I say. I ran into I think it was a tourist. We were just getting ready and loading up the mules, and you string them up. So you have like 5 mules strung up. You're on the front horse and you lead them. Yeah, and we wear cowboy hats and a duster when it rains and stuff like this. But he said, it's really funny. Whenever I see you guys from the back with your mules in the mountains, if I took a picture and just made it black and white, nothing's changed. You don't know if it's 1800 or 2024.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
so true. And this is one of the moments I'll share with you guys too, and with you. My favorite moment to see the client's witness is when somebody rides in or out of the camp with a string of 6, 7 mules. Because the visual of it, yeah, I have it in the video that I sent you, but it's better live. It just, yeah, it looks like 1883, and it's just something that you'll grin and just go, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
special. It's pretty special.
Fantastic. Okay, so could you quickly tell us how big your groups are?
Yeah, the standard groups are 4 people, but we can expand it to 6 if you have, like, let's say a men's group, or you come with 6 people, and I think the maximum we could do is 8. But personally, 4 is the standard, and 6 is the max that I would like.
So are you coming on? So if I can you do a solo like it's me and then I come into a group of strangers, but you can also do
Yes,
private
yes,
groups?
absolutely. We have it that if you come and book with 4 people, you got the whole group for yourself and we lock it off for you. Nobody else will join. Or like I said, if you have 6 people, that's fine too. But let's say you're like, I don't have a group, then we'll tell you some dates. It won't be as easy for you to pick the date, but we'll say, hey, we got, one in July, one in August, where there's 2 people right now. We'll add you to that group. And I try to like mix those people, the right way as well. Just sort of go who would get along. Um, and then also we design them kind of like custom now, as long as it's in the Zen Cowboy Experience motto of disconnect to reconnect, feel free to reach out to us and we can tailor the trip,
Awesome.
longer days, shorter days.
Oh,
It's pretty special.
fantastic. Well, I
Thanks for
think
having me, dude.
yeah, I think this is a perfect time to exit. I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate your time to share your story, and you've given all your contact, and without much great gratitude and thanks to you. And with that,
Thank you, Chris.
we'll sign off
All
and ride
righty.
off into the sunset.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.